When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, dear travelers, to Huda TV's onboard in-flight entertainment on Saudi Arabian Airlines. I'm your co-captain Malik, and prepare for takeoff. So I would like you to put your seats in the upright position and fasten your belt because the seatbelt light is on. Don't worry, you're in good hands. I have Captain Hamoud behind the wheel here. He can fly anything with an engine and 2 wings, so don't worry. He has given many years experience to Royal Saudi Air Force as well as Saudi Arabian Airlines. Of course, you know I'm joking. This is Let's Talk. However, we are continuing in our 4-part series, A Trip with a Pilot on the Ground. This is our 3rd episode, and Captain Hamoud, I'm very happy to be here with you, and thank you for joining us again. And as well, assalamu alaikum as well.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Captain. And of course, you have our passengers. You guys aren't studio audience today. You guys are passengers. You look very comfortable in first class. Enjoy the food, the soft drinks, and the peanuts, and we're going to give you an opportunity to ask them any questions as well, inshallah. The flight today is taking off from Jeddah to Sarajevo, so you guys will be home in a couple hours, inshallah. Thank you, guys. Captain Hamoud, I'm having a really fun time with you on Let's Talk these last couple episodes. I want to continue with great discussion, interesting discussion.
Sure.
Captain, I want to ask you, what is the cause of most airplane accidents? Although they are very rare, we do sometimes hear about airplane accidents.
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Yes, actually the main cause of airplane accident are actually the human error.
Human error.
Yeah, human error. If you go through, the accident, in the world,
right,
to all airlines in the world, if you go through this and just study or read about accident, you will find 80 to 90% are human error.
Okay.
But of course, sometimes there is also mechanical error, mechanical problem, like sometimes malfunction take places in the airplane, like maybe while you are just, taking off, you may have a flat tire,
Right.
Maybe while you are taking off, you have engine failure, or engine fire.
Okay.
Sometimes even during cruise, you may have encounter something also problem.
Right.
But most of the accident, I would say the emergency is actually can be controlled, can be detected, can
Right.
be solved, because
Okay.
all airplane, when they are manufactured by manufacturer, they are expecting any emergency could take place. The factory have already prepared checklist for.
Right. Okay.
So you will find all the crew, especially the pilots, and of course the flight engineer in some airplane, they are aware, about the emergency.
Okay.
But in general, most of the accident, I would say it's about 80 to 90% human error.
Excellent. As you said in the last episode, in part 2, it's more dangerous to drive a car than an airplane. Most of the time, we don't hear a lot about airplane accidents, subhanAllah. I think we have some questions from the studio audience. Go ahead, brother. Tell us your name and where you're from, and go ahead and ask your question.
My name is Asmir and I'm from Bosnia. Assalamu alaikum to all of us. I have a question about prayer in the airplane. How can we pray in airplane? Where is our Qibla? And how can we use GPRS?
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you, brother, for this question. Jazakallah khair. Very good question. Alhamdulillah, in performing salah in the airplane, I will talk about, what Saudi Airline did. Saudi Airline, they have, picked up a location, especially for salah, especially on international flight. They have removed many seats, in the back of the airplane, and they just make it only for salah.
Okay.
So when it's salah time, you can go and make wudu in the toilet, and then you can go back and they are not only that, they're also showing the qibla. They have a screen, they have a window, like a small screen, and they will show you the qibla. When you go to that, I would not call it mosque, but it's a praying location or praying
Right.
area, because you cannot call, a mosque until you pray 5 times.
Right, it's an extra
If
mosque,
you pray in a place 5 times, then you can call it mosque.
Okay.
But if you pray only once, this is a praying area. Or in Arabic we call it musalla.
Musalla, okay.
Right? So you can go there either alone, or you can, and you can go and they allow you to make adhan. You can make adhan. Then you can call your friends with you, or the people, the other passenger, when they hear you making adhan, they will come and join you, inshallah. Many times people pray in the airplane and congregation, jama'ah.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And they will show you the qibla, alhamdulillah.
I think Saudi Arabian Airlines is the only airline that does that.
In my opinion, to my knowledge, yes, to my knowledge. Maybe I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, yes. And also, not only that, the only airline who make dua for safar.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, they make dua, alhamdulillah. Anytime after airborne, they will, you will hear the dua with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to, to do this. To anytime anytime he's traveling, in safar, which is Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah, sakhrana hada, wa ma kunna lahu muqrin, and the end of it,
And I've actually seen it displayed on the screen as well.
Yes.
And it's read out loud.
Yeah, they are translating it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are translating it. They show it in Arabic and in English.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
But the qibla, how is the qibla known? Just from the compass in the cockpit?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the captain, and the pilot, the crew in the cockpit, they know what direction.
Of course. Yeah.
So, and they know where's the qibla, and they control it, and you'll see it there, in the praying area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much. Captain, what about, say, for example, you're flying from Jeddah to Sarajevo, as I said in the beginning, just joking. You're going to cross over many countries. Okay, so who is controlling these flights if they're going over many countries, international flight?
I see. You're talking about the ATC control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you see, in the beginning, when you just airborne from, from your country, any country, let's say if I was airborne from Jeddah, of course, I will be under the control of Jeddah control until I reach the boundaries of, let's say from Jeddah I'm going to north. The first country I'll pass is Egypt. Okay. Then Jeddah transfer me to Egypt control.
Okay.
And then when I pass Egypt control, they will pass me to Greece. There you go. Every country I pass, they will. And they are expecting you. They are expecting you. I mean, because before any flight take place, there is a flight plan.
Okay.
So all country you are going to pass over them, they are aware of you.
Okay.
They are expecting you. And when you call them, they know this flight is coming in a certain time.
Okay.
Until you reach your destination, then you will be under the control of your destination.
Okay, and of course, when you pass through a country like Greece, you wouldn't speak Greek, as we said.
English.
You're going to speak this.
As I told you in the past, English language is the aviation language.
Okay, thank you so much, Captain. Sure. Do we have another question from the studio audience?
Yeah, there is.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Omar, and I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I have one question for our guest. Why do we have to wait so long on the runway, and why does it take so long to take off?
Excellent. Thank you for that.
This exactly. He's right. This situation really happens sometimes. Well, I wanted to remind when you actually from the time you start up, from the time the captain or the crew ask permission for startup, until they take off, they are under control. Okay, so what happened when sometime in busy airport, like sometime in Jeddah also during Hajj, we almost like JFK, airport. Let's say I said in JFK Kennedy, for instance, if once they give you permission to taxi, that means they give you permission to go to the beginning of the runway. You will see many airplanes ahead of you. Okay, so taking off is going to be in queue. Okay. You cannot just because it doesn't mean if he give you permission to taxi, it doesn't mean that you're going to take off in 2, 3, 5 minutes.
Okay,
sometimes it takes about 40, sometimes to take off about 45 minutes, sometimes 1 hour before takeoff. Because you have other airplane ahead of you, and also because the other traffic.
Okay.
So the ATC or especially on ground, I would say the tower cannot give you permission for takeoff until he's 100% sure that when you take off it's clear, no other traffic in front of you, you're not going to cause any collision. Okay, and also because of the number of airplane ahead of you waiting, so that's why sometimes take 40 minutes, especially in busy airport, because you go in sequence.
Right, of course.
And safety, of course, because of safety.
Excellent point. So maybe if you have a VIP though, could you go to the front?
No way.
Okay, that helps in landing though.
Yes, even busy airport, no. But usually VIP, when you talk about they have their own terminal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes they have special terminal for VIP, right? And they may use other runway.
I see.
Of course, in this case, the ATC will give you priority. But he doesn't. you don't go in, the airplane which have VIP on board,
right.
they don't really taxi in the same place with other airplane taxis.
Oh, that's the
Sometimes they have their own runway,
I see.
Especially if the airport have many runways,
right.
then they will give you other runway, okay, to give you priority.
Yeah, I see. Excellent point. Captain, now when after you're airborne and you want to land, and you're in a city like New York and there's more than one airport, how do you identify which airport? I mean, is there any confusion there?
Which airport or which runway?
Both.
Okay. Well, if I'm going to JFK, I'm going to JFK anyway,
right.
because I have, whether you're going to, any time you are flying and you're going to destination, you have frequency.
Right.
You have communication, you have frequency, and in this frequency, the instrument in the airplane will show you you are on the right track or you are, off track.
Okay.
So you should stick to this frequency. With this frequency, actually, for this, and as I remember, I told you also there are now computers which can show you, not only just frequency, computers, and they are actually very modern nowadays, much better than before, But anyway, this instrument in the airplane show you exactly if you're going to your airport or you're going something, because if you are not, then the instrument in front of you may, if you are not really exactly on this frequency, which really give you direction, the radar on ground will notice you that you are deviating.
Right.
They will call you, where are you going? You're supposed to be in this heading, you're supposed to in this course.
Right.
So they will call you, but usually until you reach, once you reach the airport, then the tower will decide which runway.
And is that hard to determine as well?
No, it's not hard at all.
How does it work?
Well, he will tell me which runway. So then I'll plan. Usually in big airport, they will have a minimum of 3 runways.
Okay.
Like, I'll give you an example. In Jeddah, we have 3 for right, 3 for left, and 3 for center.
Oh, there's a lot. Okay.
Yeah, they have 3 runways.
Okay.
So he will tell me which runway before I exactly, getting close to the airport.
Oh, okay.
So then I make my plan to go to, and each runway has frequency. So I put the frequency of this particular runway, then the airplane will take me to the runway.
Yeah, like this. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Captain.
Sure.
Do we have any more questions from the studio audience? Are you guys, there. Thank you, brother. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam, brother.
I'm Ismira. I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I want to ask you, Captain, what is the really time of departure?
Thank you, brother, for that question, because actually...
What is the real time of departure?
Right, Captain.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very glad you asked the question, because many passengers, they don't know exactly what is the real departure. When he called the reservation, and actually, or when he bought the ticket, then let's say they say okay, the departure time is 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock departure doesn't mean takeoff. Doesn't mean taxiing.
Okay.
No. They will give you, because sometimes, as the other brother who asked, he said, why we stay, late on the ground. So actually, when they said 9 o'clock departure means pushback.
Okay.
The people, the reservation, give you the right time of pushback. When the airplane push back, when of course the airplane is parking in the parking area.
Right.
So the time that you got in your ticket, departure, they mean the pushback.
Okay.
When the airplane pushing back, not takeoff. Because as the brother before he said, why you were late? Sometime the airplane is pushed back on time, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, as it's mentioned in your ticket, but they don't take off until 11 o'clock or some 10:30 because of the traffic. So the real departure time, the one giving to you as a passenger, they mean pushback.
Okay.
So you don't blame them if the airplane is not taken, because and sometimes even pushback sometimes get late because of sometimes passenger late, luggage is late, something malfunction airplane sometime took place and something unexpected.
Yeah, it seems like you can almost like add an hour to the departure time, the actual real departure time to what's
not 1 hour. And as I said, it depends on where airport.
Depends.
In busy airport, always take you to take off minimum 30 minutes. Minimum in busy airport. Sometime, as I said before, 45
perhaps
minutes.
More.
But the real departure, as I said, in your ticket or the time they told you, they mean pushback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not takeoff.
Okay. Captain, your first time flying and your first hours flying as a captain, did you feel overwhelmed by the number of instruments in the cockpit? There seems to be a lot of things. How can you take care about all of them?
This goes back actually from first day training when I was cadet.
Okay.
You see, this happened really in the beginning, because it's, imagine, a person who never flown in his life, and Now he is, taking training, and he never, he used to deal with the car instrument with only 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And suddenly he had about 25 instruments in front of him for the
Right.
first day. Yes.
Right.
But with time, it will be just, once you get used to it.
No problem.
And sometime, I would say majority of pilots, he doesn't even look. He just go there and he touch and he do, and without even looking.
Because it's become so routine.
Yeah, become a routine,
Yeah, no
And the
problem.
instrument also his eye get used to, because you have to glance. You have to, when you're flying, you have to glance all your instruments, left and right, very quick, watching the, like a speedometer, altimeter, oil,
Right, okay.
fuel, pressure, all this, and you have to, your eyes is going, like this, So
Okay.
with time, it's become easy,
Okay.
But you're right, in the beginning, it's kind of difficult.
Captain, I want to talk about something that all passengers are aware of and most people are scared of, and people get really nervous about when they're flying. It creates a lot of flying phobia, and that's turbulence on the airplane. What is it? What causes it? How do you avoid it? How do you recognize it? And
I see.
And is it dangerous?
That's true. Well, I wouldn't say dangerous, but when it gets severe, there is what you call light turbulence, and there is medium turbulence, and there's severe turbulence.
Okay.
What causes it actually? There is high front and low front.
Oh, this is weather terminology.
High pressure.
Okay.
High pressure front and low pressure front.
Okay.
And also, when the air got hot, it become light.
Okay.
Okay. And where does it go? When it's got light.
It goes up.
It goes up.
Right.
And when the air is get cold,
Goes down.
so sometimes
I see.
imagine, hot air is going
Up.
up,
So it creates pressure.
and cold air going down, and it deposits in this particular area, and also with high pressure front and low pressure front.
Okay.
And then you just pass by at this time.
Okay.
And if it's really very severe, the airplane may go about 2,000 feet and go 1,000 feet. So what is my action as a pilot?
Right.
All what I can do is just reduce my speed. I reduce the speed. I just
Right.
touch the throttle and I just go back and then slow down. And immediately I will notify the cabin attendant to tell the passenger to put their seatbelt
on.
again. Just in case, of Bombay. But I cannot detect it. I cannot really expect it because
Okay.
I could be in it suddenly. There is no way pilots can
Detect it.
anticipate it.
Actually, Captain Hamoud, I feel like we're experiencing some turbulence right now in the studio. Are you guys feeling some turbulence? You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're going to have to make an emergency landing. Stay tuned.
Exactly.
Ask Hoda.
Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda.
I have 2 questions.
Please go ahead. You can read it in Arabic and you can also understand the meaning in your own language. The different tafsir and the interpretation of the meanings of the Quran are available in almost every language that exists on earth by the grace of Allah. The water of Zamzam is for whatever intention you drink it with. Salih from Egypt, his father has the way and he asked about how can he help him. Very good question.
Can they give a zakat to any of the dawah centers?
The ibadah or the act of worship is a part of the unity of worship. It has to be paid to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in accordance with the guidance of his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, dear travelers. Don't worry, the seatbelt light is off. We went through the turbulence okay. But Captain Hamoud, I wanted to ask you, like I said, a lot of people are really scared about it. Is turbulence actually dangerous for the aircraft or not?
I wouldn't say dangerous to the aircraft, but it could be dangerous to the passengers,
Okay.
But sometimes, because, if the passenger, as I told you, once the airplane got into the turbulence,
Okay.
even if it's light, immediately the captain will notify the cabin attendant, and he will put the seatbelt
seatbelt
sign
light
on.
on.
And
Okay.
also the cabin attendant will announce, he will not just, only just put the sign on. Also, the cabin attendant will announce to the passenger to put their seatbelt
on. Okay.
tying the seatbelt, and also to move everything forward. They booked, the table back, and
Yeah,
the seat
right.
should be back. And because preparing, you know, because
Yeah.
because maybe sometime it get very severe, you know.
Okay.
You know, the turbulence sometimes get very, very severe, you know, severe turbulence, and the airplane may go a little bit 1,000, 2,000 up and 2,000 down. You know.
Okay.
And if the passenger is not really, you know, tightening his, you know,
Right.
fastening his belt, and if he's not, you know, maybe he will hit, you know,
his head
you
or
know,
something
in the ceiling and the floor. Maybe he fall down.
Oh,
So
right.
it is very important for the passenger to respond to the, you know, the sign, and to respond to the flight attendant when they advise them to
put their light out. Okay.
Otherwise, it's not going to be very, you know, for the airplane. Yeah, it's going to be bumpy for sure, you know,
Right.
but it will not affect, you know, the fuselage. It will not affect, you know,
Inshallah, it's
you
be
know,
fine.
not like, you know, thunderstorm. And
That's another thing we'll
Yeah,
talk about,
another thing, yeah.
inshallah, soon. Thank you,
Inshallah.
Captain Hamoud. Do we have any more questions from the studio audience? Go ahead, brother. Tell us where you're from and your name. And
Yes, I'm from Bosnia, like my friends here. And my name is Dino.
Thank you, Dino.
I would ask, what do you do if a passenger makes a problem while flying?
Excellent question,
MashaAllah.
Dino.
Did you counter this yourself? Have you seen somebody in an airplane?
No, really, no. Thanks God, no.
Very good question. Jazakallah khair. Well, this is true. He's right. You know, there are some cases like this. You know, unfortunately, you know, sometime, you know, we have some passenger. Unfortunately, they got on board, which, you know, they have, you know, what you call psychological problem.
Okay, right.
They have also sometimes drunk. You know, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
this is international, not in our country. You know, but sometime, you know, when we are leaving, like, you know, from Europe or from America, you know, we have some people who non-Muslim, you know, who maybe he was drunk, and or sometimes he had a problem with the, you know, with his family or anything. This case is what the brother asked, sometimes take place.
Okay.
But you know, if worse come to worse, let's say that I am in, you know, I'm cruising. Now I am going to my destination, and the flight attendant came to the cockpit and told me this passenger is really annoying the passenger, and he may jeopardize the safety of the airplane, he may
Right.
jeopardize the passenger safety, and they tried to control him and they couldn't. Sometime I have to look for the nearest airport, take permission and land, and get rid of the passenger.
You have to, because for
Yeah,
the safety of the
because
passengers.
safety comes first.
Okay.
You know, sometime, yeah, there are some cases happen. The
Really?
the pilot find himself forced to land to
right.
save the passenger and to save the airplane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Excellent. About the turbulence, we talked about the turbulence, Captain, if you don't mind me going back to that.
Sure.
What about rain? Some clouds have rain, some don't. How do you determine that, and does rain affect the flight?
No, rain doesn't affect flight, but actually the worst thing could face the crew, actually, or the airplane, and of course the crew, are they call it cumulonimbus cloud, which is CP. We call it CP.
A CB cloud.
Yeah, CB cloud. This is the worst. But alhamdulillah, with the facility, you know, available in there, like we have, you know, radar, we can detect this up to about 200 to 300 miles ahead.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. We have a radar, you know, and I can see, and there is, if we have this type of clouds in front of us, you know, I can see it, you know, in my radar up to 100, 200, 300 miles away.
Okay.
And I should plan myself not to get into, because this is the most dangerous thing for airplane is actually hurricanes and thunderstorm, of course, you know. But alhamdulillah, with this facility I have, I can, you know, avoid it by going, you know, I will, of course, again back, we cannot go right, left until I take permission from ETC.
Okay.
Then I will advise the ETC about the situation I am. I'll tell him, you know, we have a CP in front of me, and please, I'm asking permission. Either I go up, okay, or I go down, or go left or right,
okay,
you know, to avoid that. Because this is the most dangerous thing.
What could the CB cloud or a thunderstorm, what would it do to the actual plane?
Well, if you go into it, yes, it may cause, you know, the airplane. I remember for turbulence, I said maybe 1,000, 2,000.
Yeah.
In CP, if you go into it, may go up to 5,000 up.
Oh, it might toss you around
and
a
they
bit.
maybe affect your fuselage, affect the wing, you know. And
okay.
So any decent or any you know, any captain, you know, they will never think to go inside.
Okay,
you know, because this is dangerous.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, I don't remember any captain or any airplane, unless something by suddenly and he's descending. Let's say he was actually he was descending, going to the airport, and then he was going. He's going through regular clouds, you know, very light cloud. No, and then after he returned to suddenly it's in front of him again. The radar can detect it.
Okay, right.
But it is very important for the pilot to avoid it.
Captain, it doesn't seem like flying an airplane is a regular job. It's a lot of responsibility and a lot of details and
You're
training.
right. You know, it's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun, and it's a challenging, career actually.
Yeah.
As I told you in the other episode, flying is a hobby before it's a job.
Right.
And I tell you, I've been flying for the last, with Air Force and Saudi Airlines, almost 30 years. And last flight I've flown, it was for me like it's the first flight.
Still, right?
Yeah, even after you've been, because it is, as I told you, the most, pleasure time is taking off and landing.
And landing, subhanAllah.
So flying is fun.
Thank you, Captain.
Sure.
Do we have another question from the studio audience?
Yes, I have.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
My name is Ismail Abdulazik. I am Egyptian.
Thank you so much.
We always hear in airplane crashes, we always hear about the black box. Well, what is the black box, and what's the relation between it and the airplane crash?
Thank you, brother. Excellent question. What is a black box? It's mysterious to us.
Very good question, yeah. Okay, the black box, this is in each airplane, especially airplane, are for hired, airplane taking passengers,
Right.
The black box usually located in a good area, very safe area. Usually it's in the way back of the airplane, near the tail, okay. And this is the area, it is maybe this area, it is actually the most area which will not be affected by fire or by affected,
okay.
And it's a very, very, important to have such this, black box. And the purpose of the black box is actually just in case of investigation. If the airplane, an accident took place, and they will go back to the black box. Inside the black box, there is a tape, recording tape, and it lasts for 30 minutes. To my knowledge, until now, to my knowledge, because I know...
30 minutes only?
30 minutes.
Okay.
Why? Because they want to hear the conversation between pilots in the cockpit and the tower and the ATC, and this can actually lead them to know what caused the accident.
I see.
So this is the purpose. Why sometime, especially if the airplane, sink into water, maybe it's exploded in the air,
right.
And then the whole airplane went down to the sea or the ocean, they will take them some time, they will continue searching, maybe 1 week, sometime 2 weeks, to find the black box. And
yeah.
it did happen in cases, they took them about maybe 1 month to find the black box.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because it's very important.
Remember when a flight took off from Brazil recently, an Air France flight, and everybody died, and they found the black box. So it's just a waterproof box with a tape recorder, basically.
Yes,
to
find the because they want to hear the latest conversation between pilots and the tower or the ATC. And this, sometimes leads them to know what causes the accident.
Of course.
That's the purpose of black box.
Okay,
and it will not burn. It will not be affected by fire. It will not be affected by water. Whatever happened, it will be protected because it's a very safe black box.
Okay, Captain, now we're talking about safety and things like that. You guys don't seem to sleep a lot. I mean, how many hours can you fly a day legally? I'm sure they have some regulations about that, because if you're not sleeping, then that's the human error, that 90% human error that we're talking about.
You're right. Well, there is a legal time. Usually, the legal time for the pilot is to fly. I would not say to fly. To work or to operate up to 14 hours.
14 hours.
Yeah.
Then you have to take a break.
Well, if he reached 14 hours, then he can call his operation, and he told them, "No, I am illegal." And he can tell them illegal, and then it is his right to go to the hotel and rest at least 8 hours, 10 hours before he continues his flight. But in cases, if sometime when the airport is not far away, I mean, let's say, and there is an urgent case that the flight, have to continue to the next destination, then, of course, it is his discretion. It is the pilot's discretion to accept or not.
Oh, okay.
But if he feel himself, he's still healthy, he's still strong, he's still awake, then he said, okay, I'll make it. But if he thinks he's really tired, and it is his time to relax, yes. But back to what you say, don't sleep. It is true, sometime, when especially early morning flight, like 4 o'clock in the morning, crew have to be at the airplane before flight minimum 2 hours.
Right.
So if my flight leaves at 4 o'clock in the morning, then I have to be there at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And what time
so sometime, maybe you slept 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But alhamdulillah, with time, many pilots get used to this.
Right.
And sometimes coffee works.
Yeah, the coffee works. Exactly. Yeah. But how many shifts are you flying? Like 4, 5, 3?
Well, in civilian airline, it's different from Air Force, you know. You have your own schedule for the whole month.
Okay.
So you know exactly, you know, what day, what time.
Right.
You know, but usually, you know, you will have a minimum about 3 to 4 days, sometime 1 week off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's very
You know,
good.
sometime 5 days off, 3 days off. But the good thing about it that, you know, from the beginning of the month, you know all your flights.
Yeah,
you know the
okay.
time, the departure, when you go, your destination.
Right.
So you can plan your life. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Captain.
Sure.
Do we have any more questions from the passengers in first class? Go ahead, brother.
I'm Yusuf Jafic from Bosnia. I want to greet all our viewers, all our audience, our dear guest, and you, our host. And as we are talking about this security, as we know, we watch some of these American movies about hijacking. So I want to ask you, what is the procedure? For example, if someone is wanting to hijack, or he really hijacked the plane, what is the procedure? How the crew deals with this?
Thank you, brother. Go ahead.
Well, good question. Good question, because it did happen. You know, many aircraft had been hijacked.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, from safety point of view, you know, there is international, you know, rules concerning how to deal with hijacker. You know, do not, you know, fight the hijacker. You know, the first thing, do not fight him, especially if he's armed, if he has a weapon, if he has, guns or a pistol or rifle with him, you know, or bomb in his hand. Do not force him. Do not, fight him. Try to convince him easily, nicely, you know. But the more important thing, not hijacking the airplane. The most important thing for the crew and for the whole, you know, airline, safety of airplane and safety of passenger.
Okay.
Safety of passenger first, and the safety. So sometime, you know, you have to cope with him. You have to follow with him, because especially if he insists, especially if he's, you know, very, you know, violent, you know, using violence,
right.
You know. So you have to be cope with him. But there is something I'm not telling you a secret, but I'm not going to tell you the number. You know, there is a special frequency, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to say the number because this is completely confidential.
Okay.
There is a secret, you know, frequency. The captain will put it on his, you know, instrument, and this will be detected by the radar. When the radar see this number, he knows the airplane is hijacked.
Oh my goodness, is that right?
Yeah.
And that's excellent. Yeah.
But you know, it's a very secret number. Then the radar or the ETC on the ground, they know this airplane is hijacked, and they will, you know, convey the message to the government, to everybody.
Oh my goodness.
But you know, that
you now help the hijackers.
Sorry?
No, he won't help. He won't tell them.
They will now have the information.
Of course, definitely. But the reason I mentioned this, I said the people on ground, they will be aware. They will be notified by this frequency.
Right.
Especially the ETC. They will be notified. This airplane on this area, on this, you know, sector, on this, you know, altitude.
Right.
And this airline, this company.
Right.
You know, they are hijacked, and they will try to give advice. So the captain, sometime, you know, the hijacker insists to go to another destination, and you have to follow him.
For the safety of the passengers, yeah.
Yeah. Usually the government, usually the authority, I would say, they will take care of, you know, dealing with that on ground. But you as a crew on the middle of the air, you should follow his instruction.
Okay.
Whatever he say, don't, you know, deceive him. Don't lie on him.
Right.
You know, whatever he say yes.
The crew doesn't have any weapon or something like this?
Well, even if they have weapon, because you talk about safety now.
Right,
you know.
right.
The crew, the crew.
No, the crew, no. The crew, we don't carry weapons.
There's no weapons, there's no pistols on the plane.
But, you know, in some airplane, I would say there is what you call, you know, secret security. Nobody knows. You think he's a passenger, but he's not a passenger.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Or you want to keep that confidential as well?
Well, it is confidential. But, you know, alhamdulillah, but even if you have security in your plane, the security, they should not also jeopardize the safety of them. If they manage, you know, in the beginning, you know, if you know, but otherwise, they should not fight the hijacker at all. Because he may blow the airplane. He may kill the captain.
Somebody.
And it did happen in many cases. You know, they killed the captain. So the first officer from the airplane, they killed the stewardess. They killed some passenger because somebody trying to fight him.
Of course.
You know, so it's better you just be low profile with him, to be slow down, to be, you know, calm with him, to calm him, to tell him, okay, we'll do what you want until the airplane landed. Then after landing, let somebody else take care.
Exactly.
You know,
Thank you,
not
Captain.
you.
Thank you, Captain,
Sure.
for that. You guys, we're still cruising at 30,000 feet with Captain Hamoud, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Huda TV's onboard in-flight entertainment on Saudi Arabia Airlines. We're still on board with Captain Hamoud. We've launched off. We've taken off from Jeddah. We're on our way to Sarajevo, and the flight has been smooth thus far. Captain Hamoud, thank you for staying with us, and thank you for taking us on this flight on the ground.
Fasten your seatbelt.
Captain, I think we had some questions from the studio audience. They seem very active today. From our passengers in first class, we didn't put you in coach. We put you in first class.
They deserve it.
Go ahead, brother. Thank you.
My name is Adis. I'm from Bosnia.
Thank you, Adis.
I would like to ask Captain, can passengers enter the cockpit?
Oh, excellent question.
That
kind of goes.
MashaAllah. Well, yeah, sometime, you know, especially in ground maybe, but on flight, from safety point of view, they don't allow that. You know, except for children maybe. If you have your child with you, after the airplane is cruise and everything is safe, if you, you know, send a message to the captain, you say, my son, you know, he's a small boy, you know, they may allow the boy to sometime, you know, but when they are busy, you know, they will not allow anybody inside. When they are, you know, safe but to avoid, problems, sometimes they don't allow. On ground, yes. On ground, you know, when the airplane on ground, before takeoff, after landing, if the passenger, just before he leave the airplane, he will come to the cockpit and say, Captain, how can I see? And he may allow you, because on ground. But during cruise and during flight, especially during takeoff and landing, absolutely, this is absolutely impossible during takeoff and landing. But, you know, during cruise, you know, it is the pilot discretion. It is the pilot discretion.
Have you done it before? Have you let someone in the cockpit, like a small child, or?
Well, because you know, I know the person.
Right.
Yeah, I know him very well. I know who is he, and I know. So he opened the door, and he was standing back, you know, and he has his child, and I left his child to go inside, and, just to see after cruising, everything is okay. But you know, in general, you know, I would say, you know, especially after problems, after this, you know, it is better not to allow, you know.
Okay.
It's better. But on ground, no problem.
I think as passengers have this idea that the cockpit is very spacious.
I'm sorry?
We have this idea that the cockpit is very big and very spacious. Is it?
Well, it depends from factor to factor. Usually Lockheed, they make very good cockpit.
Oh, okay.
You know, the biggest cockpit, you know, I ever seen is a TriStar. You know, there's an airplane, you know, protected, you know, by it, right? It's really like a bedroom, you know.
Oh,
it's very huge, you know. But, you know, it's very convenient. You know, it's very convenient, you know.
Do you have a bed in there to sleep?
No.
No,
I'm saying it's big, you know.
Oh, okay, it's comfortable.
No.
Yeah,
well, we do, of course, but not in the cockpit. We have bed to sleep, not in the cockpit, you know. Behind the cockpit, especially on long flight. As I told you, you know, we have during long flight, like, you know, 10 hours flight, 11 hours flight, sometimes you have double crew.
Sometimes you have a double crew,
Double crew,
course,
yes.
Right.
You have double crew. The first crew fly the airplane, you know, in the 6 hours or the 5 hours, and then they go rest, and the second team, they come and continue their aircraft to destination.
Captain, what did you prefer, small domestic flights, or did you like the long international flights?
Well, you in the beginning, you need both. You know, to get experience, you know.
Okay.
You know. But, you know, pilots with long time, it's become, for them, doesn't make a difference because they're used to it.
No
but
problem,
of course, you know, the international flight gives you more experience.
More experience.
More experience, more confidence.
More confidence
more
as well,
confidence.
yeah.
You get the most confidence and the most experience comes from international flight.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sometimes as a passenger, when you arrive on an international flight and you arrive early, you think, mashallah, this captain was really good. You know, why did he get us there early? Why do we arrive early sometimes? Does it have anything to do with the captain?
No, not to do with the captain, actually. You know, sometime when we have what you call headwind and tailwind.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes the wind, if blowing behind you, it helps you. You know, sometimes the wind behind you reach up to 100 to 150 knots.
Oh, wow, okay.
And this will, of course, will affect your speed, you know, going to your destination.
Okay.
And vice versa.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes you have the wind ahead of you.
Okay.
Sometimes you say, okay, early, sometimes you arrive late,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not actually, and you said, no, wait a minute, the schedule said, will you arrive, you know, at certain time, why you are late? Or if you're coming late, it's not the captain, it is not the airplane, it's the headwind.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes not headwind, sometimes the weather.
Okay.
You know, the weather is getting bad, so the captain going left, right to avoid weather. This sometimes delay.
Yeah.
You know, this is actually what causes it.
Okay. And Captain, about the fuel, I mean, you have a lot of extra fuel in case of an emergency, or do you only have the full fuel that's necessary for...
Between destination?
Yeah. For example, from Jeddah to New York, do you have enough fuel to go to California if you wanted to?
Not to California, but to the nearest airport, just in case, you know, because California needs 6 hours, you know, from New York. It's a long trip.
Yeah, yeah.
That's another trip.
Yeah.
You need about 6 hours from. But, you know, I would say yes, you know, each flight, before it leaves, you know, the departure point, or departure airport, must have on board, you know, the full enough fuel to take the aircraft to destination, plus 45 minutes up to 1 hour extra.
Oh, I see.
Why? Because sometime you arrive your destination and then you cannot land because the airport is closed. Why?
Right.
Because an airplane landed and it had emergency. They could not remove it from the runway.
Okay.
Sometime you arrive to the airport and the weather is bad and you cannot land. So you have to go to alternative. You have to go alternate, you know, another airport.
Right. And so you need some fuel for that.
And that's, Sometimes, no, you don't go. Sometimes they ask you to, you know, they said, okay, just keep holding.
Just fly in a circle.
Yeah, you know, fly in a circle. So and you need, of course, fuel for it. And usually holding doesn't take more than 15, 20 minutes, maximum 30 minutes.
Right.
But you should have fuel enough, you know, up to 45 minutes to 1 hour extra than the fuel you're going to your destination, just in case you need to go to another airport.
Of course. Have you ever experienced a closed runway?
Oh, yes.
For what type of things?
Sorry?
I mean, for what type of things were they closed for? Like an accident?
Sometime weather.
Oh, weather mostly.
90% weather.
Yeah,
90% weather. You know, you go to the airport, you arrive to your destination
on time,
and you give it a try once, and you cannot see the runway.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes they don't even allow you to. They said, they don't even try because it's dangerous. You know, they will tell you, you know, the visibility is only very low. You can, if they tell you the visibility is only 100 meters, 100 feet, don't even try it, you know, especially, and sometimes not visibility. Visibility, I would say, because of dust or or fog, or, you know, sometimes no, it's actually, it's the weather, the cloud that I mentioned, the CP, you know, the weather is very bad and you cannot land because of the weather. Then don't even try it. Just go to other airport, the nearest airport, and land. And you save the airplane, you save the passenger. You know, 1 hour more, 2 hours, 5 hours more, better than losing, you know, the airplane, the passenger.
How much visibility do you need for a safe landing?
Well, it's actually, you know, visibility should be minimum, you know, up to 300 meters, 200 meters. That's I can do.
Oh, okay.
But if it's 100 or 150 and less, this is what you call low visibility.
Okay.
Very, very poor visibility.
Okay.
You know, but 300 and more, well, you can use an instrument if the weather permits.
Weather permitting.
Yeah,
okay.
if the weather permits.
Of course, the condition of the runway itself, if it has ice or snow, that's also a huge factor as well, isn't it?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
That could be dangerous as well.
Sometimes not only even snow, sometimes wind.
Wind, yeah.
Sometimes, you know, usually the airplane should land into wind.
Okay.
You know, you know, if I'm landing on, you know, a runway which is direction of the runway is south, then the wind should be from north. North, okay. Opposite. You don't fly with the wind.
Why? Because if it's reversed, it'll push you too far,
yeah, it should be. Because if you land with the wind behind you, you may pass the runway. You know,
this way.
And the speed is high. So taking off and landing should be against the wind.
As a stabilizer.
Yeah, sorry?
It works as a stabilizer, like a brake.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it helps. You know, no, because if you take off with, you know, with the wind behind you, you know, then you will actually exceed your your limits and speed.
Oh, I see.
And also, especially when you're coming landing, especially when you land. If you land, but sometime if the wind is low, slow, I can do it. But if the wind is too, especially the worst thing could happen to you is crosswind.
Okay.
Yeah, crosswind, is sometimes it becomes severe. You come to the airport landing, and then the tower told you, the wind is, you are landing north, okay, and the wind's coming from east.
Oh.
And it's about 150 knots. There is a technique for that, but not to exceed your limit.
Okay.
You should stick to your limit. And then this technique, if the wind coming from the right, and it's very light, not very severe, not 100 knots. Let's say you have about 20 knots, 30 knots. Okay. Then I can handle, but not more than that. 100 knots is difficult to handle.
Okay.
There is a technique that you come land, you just putting the right, the wing.
Okay.
And then you just go, and then just before touch the runway, then you.
But it takes some skill and some experience.
Yeah, of course, you need skill for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Captain Hamoud.
Sure,
excellent. Do we have any more questions from the passengers in first class? Go ahead, brother.
When we must turn off our mobile phones when we want to flight up, or when we must take up your flight on flyway of mobile phone?
Excellent question. Why is that necessary? Why do we have to turn off our phone?
Well, it is magnetic, because of magnetic field around the electronic. This is sometimes affect the instrument of the airplane. Especially during takeoff and landing. And also sometime on cruise. That's why they don't allow mobile to be on during all flight.
Yeah, right.
But now lately they have actually some airplane, some also airline. They allow this because they have came up with something new in the airplane which protect the instrument to be affected by mobiles. So some airline now and some airplane, they allow you to use the mobile, their mobile, not your mobile.
Their mobile and their wireless internet.
And you have to pay for it.
Yeah, and they also have wireless internet on some planes.
Oh yeah.
That can be used. Yes,
we have wireless. Yeah. They will allow you to use their mobile, but it is kind of expensive.
You know what? Thank you, brother. Actually, I received a phone call from someone. He said, "I'm on an airplane right now, on a domestic flight in the United States," and I guess he was using the airplane service. Yeah.
Yes, the new service.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Captain Hamoud, we have to take a transit stop on our 4-part journey, inshallah, to Sarajevo. So I think this will be the end of this part of the flight, and I certainly look forward to the next one, inshallah.
Sure.
And you guys in passenger, Captain, and you passengers, stay tuned, stay with us. Fasten your seatbelts, enjoy the soft drinks and the peanuts, and until next time, you guys at home as well, stay tuned for more with Captain Hamoud on our 4th flight, on our 4th part of a trip on the ground with the pilot. Assalamu alaikum.
When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the